Stories of Prophet Ibrahim, Abraham. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Today I narrate the story of Prophet Ibrahim, a peace be upon him. Once upon a time in a place called Babylon, there was a boy named Ibrahim. He was the son of Azar, a descendant of Nahor, Saru, Raghu, Fali, Aher, Shali, Arfkshand, Sam, and Nu. Azar had 3 sons, Ibrahim, Nahor, and Haran. Ibrahim was born when Azar was 75 years old. Haran, Ibrahim's brother, had a son named Lut, but he passed away at a young age while still in the land of Babylonia where he was born. Little is known about Nahor. Ibrahim's story takes place during a time when various forms of worship were prevalent. Some worshipped idols made of stone and wood, while others worshipped celestial objects like the planets, stars, sun, and moon. This was the world that Ibrahim was born into, a world full of tradition and idol worship. Ibrahim was born into a typical family of that ancient time, amidst an atmosphere where idol worship was prevalent. However, his family was not ordinary. The head of the family not only rejected Allah, but also made the idols with his own hands. In his early childhood, Ibrahim became aware that his father was creating peculiar statues. He asked his father about what he was making, and his father responded that he was making statues of gods. This shocked Ibrahim, and he immediately rejected the idea. As a child, he would often play with these statues. One day when Ibrahim was 7 years old, he was sitting on the backs of a statue just as people sit on the backs of donkeys and horses. However, this time his father caught him riding on the statue of Marduk, and he became very angry. He forbade Ibrahim from playing with it again. Ibrahim asked, "What is this statue, father? It has big ears, bigger than ours." His father responded, "It is Marduk, the god of gods, my son. His large ears symbolize his deep knowledge." However, this explanation made Ibrahim laugh, finding it amusing that a statue could possess such a trait. As Ibrahim grew into a teenager, his disgust for the idols deepened. He could not fathom how anyone could create a statue and then worship it. These idols were lifeless, unable to speak, eat, drink, or even write themselves if overturned. How could people believe that these statues could bring them harm or benefit? Ibrahim's people had a large temple, filled with idols of all shapes and sizes, with a niche reserved for the largest ones. As a child, Ibrahim used to visit the temple with his father, but he despised the wood and stone figures. He was shocked by the behavior of the people who entered the temple, bowing and crying, begging and imploring their gods for help, as if the idols could hear or understand their pleas. Initially, Ibrahim found the sight amusing, but later he became angry. How could so many people be deceived? To make matters worse, his father wanted him to become a priest and to revere the statues. But Ibrahim refused to abandon his hatred and disdain for them. Ibrahim knew that the idols were not good, but he was searching for the true God and did not know who he was. When the night fell over him, he saw a planet. He said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, "I do not love those that set." Then, when he saw the moon rising, he said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, "If my Lord does not guide me, I will be one of the erring people." Then, when he saw the sun rising, he said, "This is my Lord. This is bigger." But when it set, he said, "O my people, I am innocent of your idolatry. I have directed my attention towards him who created the heavens and the earth, a monotheist, and I am not of the idolaters." Surah Al-An'am, verse 67 to 69, Ibrahim reflected on the existence of Allah beyond the moon, stars, and planets, and was amazed that people worshipped these celestial bodies instead of their creator. He realized that they had been created to obey and worship Allah, and not celestial bodies that appeared and disappeared according to Allah's will. Ibrahim spent time in a cave with a clear view of the sky. As he looked at the planets and stars worshipped by some people on earth, his heart was filled with pain. He knows that these celestial bodies were created to worship and obey their creator, yet they were being worshipped by men. When he returned home, he asked his father and his people about this. Ibrahim said to his father Azar, "Do you take idols for gods?" I see that you and your people are in evident error. Thus, we showed Ibrahim the kingdom of the heavens and the earth, that he might be one of those with certainty. Surah Al-An'am, verse 64 to 65. Ibrahim's reasoning helped to reveal the truth, and it started the struggle between him and his people, including the one who most opposed him and was angry at his attitude was his father. The father said to his son, "O Ibrahim, you have betrayed me and have been dishonorable to me." Ibrahim replied, he said to his father, "O my father, why do you worship what can neither hear nor see nor benefit you in any way? O my father, there has come to me knowledge that never came to you. So follow me, and I will guide you along a straight way. O my father, do not worship the devil. The devil is disobedient to the most gracious. O my father, I fear that a punishment from the most gracious will afflict you, and you become an ally of the devil." Surah Maryam, verse 42 to 45. The father immediately rose, and he blew his anger on Ibrahim. The father said, "Do you reject my gods, O Ibrahim? If you stop not this, I will indeed stone you. So get away from me safely before I punish you." Surah Maryam, verse 46. Ibrahim engages in dialogue with idol worshippers. In the initial encounter, Ibrahim addressed the first group of people who worshipped celestial bodies, and the curtains were drawn on that discussion. The subsequent encounter featured the second group, who were engaged in idolatry. Each time Ibrahim debated with his people, Allah granted him the power of reasoning. The Almighty declared, "And that was our proof which we gave Ibrahim against his people. We raised whom we will in degrees. Certainly your Lord is all-wise, all-knowing." Surah Al-An'am, verse 83. Ibrahim strived to encourage his people to believe in the oneness of Allah. He exerted himself to persuade his people to believe in the existence of one Almighty Allah and to worship Him exclusively. He urged them to completely forsake the worship of idols. Addressing his father and his community, he said, "What are these images to which you are devoted?" They said, "We found our fathers worshipping them." He said, "Indeed, you and your fathers have been in manifest error." They said, "Have you brought us the truth, or are you one of those who play about?" He said, "Nay, your Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, who created them, and of that I am of the witnesses." Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 52 to 56. Ibrahim, when he said to his father and his people, "What do you worship?" They replied, "We worship idols, and we are ever devoted to them." He said, "Do they hear you when you call upon them, or do they benefit you or harm you?" They responded, "No, but we found our forefathers doing the same." He said, "Do you see what you and your forefathers have been worshipping? They are my enemies, except for the Lord of all creation, who has created me, guides me, feeds me, gives me drink, and cures me when I am ill. And who will cause me to die, then bring me back to life, and to whom I hope will forgive my sins on the day of judgment." Surah Ash-Shu'ara, verse 69 to 82. Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was bestowed with divine knowledge from Allah even before he became a prophet. He recognized that idol worship was a futile and wicked practice. His own father used to carve idols out of wood and stone, but Prophet Ibrahim advised him to abandon this false belief and worship the one and only true God, Allah the Glorious. However, his father remained obstinate and refused to listen. Prophet Ibrahim told his father that these idols could neither benefit nor harm him. In response, his father commanded him to leave the house or be stoned. Prophet Ibrahim peacefully complied and asked Allah to forgive his father. Despite his efforts, the people persisted in their idol worship and rejected his message. Prophet Ibrahim stood alone for truth and justice, knowing that Allah was on his side. One day, during a festival outside the city attended by all the people, Ibrahim made an excuse and did not attend the festival. Ibrahim secretly entered the temple and destroyed all the idols except for the largest one, where he hung the axe around its neck. He wanted to demonstrate to the people that idols were useless and powerless. Upon returning, the people discovered the destruction of their idols. The people were perplexed and asked who could have done this. A man responded, "I heard a young boy named Ibrahim saying that he will destroy the idols one day. It must be him." The people said, Bring him here now." Upon Ibrahim's arrival, the people questioned him about the destroyed idols. In response, he suggested, "Perhaps the big idol did it. Why don't you ask the big idol who did it?" The people respond to Ibrahim, "Do you not know that our gods do not speak?" To which Ibrahim replied, "Why do you worship something that cannot speak, provide benefits, or cause harm? Have you not considered the state of your mind? Even the greatest God could not avoid destruction, and yet he simply stands there and watches. If these gods cannot prevent their own destruction, how can they bring any good to you? You do not seem to ponder. The axe rests on the shoulder of the greatest God, yet he cannot even speak, hear, move, see, benefit, or cause harm. He is merely a stone. So why worship stones?" As a result, they recognized their mistake and acknowledged that the idols had no ability to speak, move, or assist them in any manner. Despite this realization, their stubbornness and arrogance prevailed, and they continued their misguided ways. The idolaters were determined to prevent anyone from worshipping anything other than their idols. To this end, they devised a plan to burn Ibrahim alive by throwing him into the largest fire they could build. For days, they gathered wood as a tribute to their gods and constructed a deep pit, which they filled with firewood. They then prepared a catapult to fling Ibrahim into the flames. They bound his hands and feet with ropes and placed him on the catapult. As the flames leapt towards the sky, the people stood back from the pit, unable to bear the intense heat. Finally, the high priest gave the command to launch Ibrahim into the inferno. The angels witnessed the scene but could not bear it any longer. At that moment, the angel Gabriel approached Ibrahim and asked, "O Ibrahim, do you desire anything from me?" Ibrahim inquired whether the angel was sent by Allah, to which Gabriel responded in the negative. Ibrahim then declined any assistance from Gabriel. The angel suggested that he should ask Allah for help. Ibrahim responded by saying that Allah knows his needs, and he does not need to ask for anything from anyone else. The people launched the catapult, and Ibrahim was hurled into the raging inferno fire. Allah commanded the fire to become cool and safe for Ibrahim. "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Ibrahim." Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 69. Ibrahim remained serene in the midst of the flames as if he were sitting in a garden, while the fire only consumed the ropes that bound him. His heart was filled with nothing but love for Allah, and he praised and glorified him. There was no fear, regret, or lamentation in his heart, only love for the beloved. The fire was peaceful and cool, proving that those who love Allah will never be frightened. Allah declared, "Those, believers, unto whom the people, hypocrites, said, 'Verily, the people, pagans, have gathered against you, a great army, therefore fear them.' But it only increased their faith, and they said, 'Allah alone is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs for us.' So they returned with grace and bounty from Allah. No harm touched them, and they followed the good pleasure of Allah. Allah is the owner of the great bounty. It is only Satan that suggests to you the fear of his supporters and friends, polytheists, disbelievers in the oneness of Allah and in his messenger Muhammad. So fear them not, but fear me if you are true believers." Surah Ali Imran, verses 173 to 175. The crowd, including the leaders and priests, watched from a distance as the fire burned fiercely. The heat and smoke were overwhelming, almost suffocating them. They expected the fire to continue burning forever, but eventually it died out. To their great surprise, they saw Ibrahim walking out of the pit unscathed, his face glowing with Allah's light and grace. While their faces were black from the smoke, Ibrahim's face was bright. The intense fire had miraculously become cool for him, and the only thing it had burned were the ropes that bound him. He walked out of the fire as if he was strolling in a garden. The idolaters were astonished and cried out in disbelief. They wanted to harm him, but we made them the worst losers. Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 70. Despite the miracle, the tyrants were still filled with anger and hatred towards Ibrahim. Although the miracle of Ibrahim surviving the fire put the tyrants to shame, it did not quell their anger. Nevertheless, many people began to believe in Ibrahim after witnessing the event. However, due to the fear of persecution or death at the hands of the rulers, the majority of these believers kept their faith a secret, with only a handful being brave enough to openly express their beliefs. Upon Ibrahim's exit from the fire, the tyrants swiftly arrested him, prompting King Nimrod of Babylon to take notice. Fearing that Ibrahim's growing influence would threaten his power, Nimrod summoned him to the palace for a debate, seeking to prove that he, the king, was the true God and that Ibrahim was a liar. Nimrod's arrogance led him to claim divinity for himself, and he was worshipped as such by his subjects. Despite the fact that many in his kingdom had come to believe in Allah and Ibrahim as true prophets, Nimrod was determined to safeguard his position and maintain his status as a god. The ensuing dialogue between Ibrahim and Nimrod, as narrated in the Quran, is a testament to Ibrahim's steadfast faith and his ability to reason against the tyrants who proclaimed themselves divine. Allah purposely withholds the name of the king, as it holds no significance. The king approached Ibrahim, accusing him of luring people to abandon their old gods and worship a new one. To this, Ibrahim calmly stated that there is only one God, Allah. The king, being full of pride and arrogance, challenged Ibrahim by asking what his God could do that he could not. Ibrahim replied softly, explaining that only Allah can give and take life. The king, in a boastful manner, claimed he could do the same. Knowing the king was lying, Prophet Ibrahim did not question him. The king then summoned 2 slaves, ordering them to be executed. When one had been killed and the second was about to be, the king abruptly ordered the second one to be set free, claiming that he could give life and death. In response, Ibrahim challenged the king by stating that Allah makes the sun rise from the east. Can you make the sun rise from the west? The king, who could not. Left speechless, the king did not know how to proceed with Ibrahim. He knew could not harm Ibrahim. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 258. Ibrahim's renown grew throughout the kingdom as people recounted how he had miraculously survived a fiery ordeal and debated with the king, leaving him at a loss for words. Despite his unwavering dedication to guiding his people towards the right path, Ibrahim's efforts were met with anger and rejection. Only 2 individuals, a woman named Sarah who would become his wife, and a man named Lot who became a prophet, shared his unwavering faith in Allah. Eventually realizing that he would not be able to convince his people, Ibrahim made the decision to emigrate from his city. He left behind his community and journeyed with his wife and Lot, passing through the cities of Ur and Haran before finally settling in Palestine. So Lut believed in him Ibrahim's message, the believe in one God. Ibrahim said, I will emigrate for the sake of my Lord. Verily, he is the Almighty, the All-Wise. Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 26. Ibrahim, the prophet of Allah, traveled to Egypt after Palestine, spreading his message and guiding people towards truth and fairness. Abu Huraira narrated that Ibrahim did not tell a lie except on 3 occasions, twice for the sake of Allah, exalted and almighty, when he said, I am sick. When his people were holding a festival in honor of their gods, Ibrahim excused himself by saying he was sick. When he said, I have not done this, but the big idol has done it. The third was that while Ibrahim and Sarah his wife were going on a journey, they passed by the territory of a tyrant king. Someone said to the tyrant, This man, Ibrahim, is accompanied by a very charming lady. So he sent for Ibrahim and asked him about Sarah, saying, Who is this lady? Ibrahim said, She is my sister. Ibrahim went to Sarah and said, O Sarah, there are no believers on the surface of the earth except you and me. This man asked me about you, and I have told him that you are my sister. Do not contradict my statement. The tyrant king then called Sarah, and when she went to him, he tried to take a hold of her with his hand, but his hand got stiff, and he was confounded. He asked Sarah, Pray to Allah for me, and I shall not harm you. So Sarah asked Allah to cure him, and he got cured. He tried to take hold of her for the 2nd time, but his hand got as stiff as or stiffer than before, and he was more confounded. He again requested Sarah, Pray to Allah for me, and I will not harm you. Sarah asked Allah to again, and he became all right. He then called one of his guards who had brought her and said, "You have not brought me a human being, but have brought me a devil." The tyrant then gave Hajar as a maidservant as a gift to Sarah. Ibrahim, gesturing with his hand, asked, "What has happened?" She replied, "Allah has spoiled the evil plot of the infidel or immoral person and gave me Hajar for service." Ibrahim the Prophet is considered one of the greatest prophets in Islam. His life story, as recorded in the Quran and Islamic tradition, serves as an inspiring example of unwavering faith, patience, and submission to God. Ibrahim was chosen by Allah to be a prophet and was tested throughout his life with various challenges. He remained steadfast in his faith and obedience to Allah, even in the face of immense adversity. Through his unwavering devotion and submission to God, Ibrahim is a role model for all Muslims to follow. He demonstrated the importance of placing one's trust in Allah, even in the most difficult of circumstances. Ibrahim's life story teaches us the importance of faith, perseverance, and submission to one God. His example serves as a reminder of the rewards that await those who trust in Allah and remain steadfast in their beliefs. We will conclude Ibrahim's story at this point and continue with his life in the following story, which will focus on Ishmael. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to stay updated on all our future videos. Peace be with you.